everybody. For some reason it's not at me. There we go. But anyway, I'm just gonna jump on here and do a little live real quick. Been trying to post a little bit more. Gaining a little traction. I'm getting 150, 200 views per video. It might not seem like a lot to some people, but I heard a guy explain it like this, okay? And I've got some shorts on Facebook that's picked up 10,000 views, 8,000, 5,000. But I heard a guy explain it like this. He's like, man, think about it like this. If you're talking and 200 people are listening to you, take advantage of that. Keep treading water. Because look at it this way. If you were at your house and 200 people pulled up in your yard at one time to hear what you had to say, think about that. It really puts things into perspective because a lot of times we think, and I'm not doing it to gain like traction as far as financial benefits or anything like that. I really like the journey and I want to share it with people. Because there's a lot of people getting into the industry and there's a lot of people getting out of the industry that I know personally that have gave it a shot and failed and got out or either just decided it wasn't for them. The math didn't make sense. And there's a really good guy, I'm not going to say his name, but, he got out of it and I get why he got out of it. But there's another one I watched try 2 or 3 times and he just fumbled his way through it. I mean, a lot of times people will run out and buy the nicest equipment, get a $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 setup and have 6 customers or whatever, 20, and not make it work. But for me, y'all, it wasn't like that. See, when we moved back here from Foley, Alabama, I had worked for a landscape company. This is funny. I'll tell you this because the way faith works and the way life puts things into position for you to progress, if you're on the true path you're supposed to be on, the way it works is unique. It's funny, and at the same time, it's a very serious issue because it's all God. Anyway, we moved down south, and I take a couple of restaurant jobs. This was back in 2012. And anyway, I ended up working for a landscape company. I think it was Jubilee Scape or something like that. And they're a really reputable, huge company, Gulf Shores. But I had license problems or something, and I couldn't drive the truck, so technically I couldn't be the foreman. You know what I mean? So there was always somebody else on the truck, and then they get the truck, and I'd get upset about it, because. But anyway, all that's not here nor there. I learned a lot of stuff there. We would be on the coast at Turquoise, Phoenix 3, all these places. And, I'm the one driving the lift. I'm directing the whole job, and we're pruning, full-grown palms. We're pruning them and cutting the prawns out, dropping them. I got a crew of like 8 guys down there, and I'm showing them where to put them, directing them, and I'm up there, pruning. But either way, I start learning little things. Then I jump on a mini skid. Then I start laying sod. Then I get an opportunity to work for Kent's Landscaping, which was huge because Jamie, man, he started running a real quick story about Jamie Kent. He's a good guy. Some people think he's an asshole, but most good bosses are in a sense. But at 16 years old, he had 2 trucks running for him while he was in high school. Okay. So he got out of it, he got into it after he got out of high school, and he ended up getting in with Dr. Trulin, Dr. Horton, and Trulin Homes, and he got, let's see, Fairhope Falls, Stonebridge, Firefly. These are a bunch of huge, like, gonna be 20 phase, 18 phase subdivisions. They're huge. You pull into one, it's got its pool, it's on baseball field, it's on tennis courts, and you go to the next phase, same thing. It's on pool, baseball field. But anyway, we did all the sod, the grading, and I ended up being the maintenance guy. I run the maintenance crew, and we took care of all these properties. The new sports complex in Foley, we put in over 80 palms full grown there, all the sod, perennials, annuals, everything. So I gained all this experience, on running equipment, and moved back to Alabama in 2021, the end of 2020, I think, first 2021. Ended up taking a machine shop job because I just didn't think, I thought this little small town it would be sewed up or whatever. But anyway, I work at the machine shop. I do okay, but I'm older, so geometry is something I forte. Math surely ain't. And if you can't get proper training, it don't matter where you're at. But I had a lot of fun with the guys there, and I made some really, really good friends, lifelong friends. And Ethan, I like Ethan a lot. Shout out to Ethan. But and Blake, But anyway, I made some really good friends. But the whole time, I just didn't feel right. You know what I mean? I felt like, man, I miss landscape, and I really missed it. But I sold my equipment when I come back. Actually, to a guy that had a little company here. And, I figured Armstrong and then Cooper's, all these, I figured it was sewed up because it's a small town. So anyway, one day I just got unbearable at the machine shop, and I decided to leave. And I'm not gonna go into that story, bad mouth anybody because I did. I met a lot of nice people out there, and they're really good company, honestly. But I ended up working for a guy up here in Montford, and worked for him for a couple of weeks, and we had a dollar amount figured out that I was gonna work for. But when it comes down to it, first payday, it's the next day before I get half my check, and then the next week it's the same issue, and I'm not trying to screw you, this kind of thing. And mind you, I'm pulling his equipment with my truck, and anyway, we didn't see eye to eye. And he said, "Come here, I want to look, I want to show you something." I met him at the job. He said, "How do you sleep at night knowing that's like that?" And I said, "What are you talking about?" And he points at some weeds or something I didn't weed eat, but I did. You know what I mean? I did. I just didn't scalp it. I weeded it level. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. I knew what he was doing. He was just trying to penny pinch and look for a reason not to give me the money he had agreed to give me. So anyway, I said, "No, it ain't gonna work there." I said, "Listen, you just square up with me and I'm gonna go my way and you go yours." So anyway, we did that. So immediately, I went and my cousin let me borrow a ride-on tractor style mower. I think it's a 4x8 trailer. I had a handheld blower, weed eater, and I took off last year and started gaining a little traction. I think I got it like 26 accounts or something. I thought I was big time. But I eventually really started getting traction. Then I got the zero turn. He let me borrow a zero turn. He's like, "Hey man, I got the zero turn. You use it, it'd be more useful to you than it is me. All I have is this 1 yard." He really helped me get into this. But anyway, I run that out last year and ended up getting me an X Mark. I walk behind, older stuff. I got one for Rob Clardy, and I appreciate it too. It was a pretty good deal he gave me on it. It got me by. I don't have it anymore. But anyway, I take off and start quoting cleanups and bed installs and stuff like that. And I'm like, hey, and it finally hit me. All that time I was being shaped and molded to run my own company, because a lot of people can jump into it as a solo entrepreneur or just a solo business owner, period, in the landscape and concrete work, whatever it is, and not excel at it because they have to learn as they go. But God had a plan for me because I had already learned all this stuff. So I started picking up traction. I think I'm up to like 56 accounts now. I just got two more calls today while I was on the phone with my brother talking about building the business. One day I want him to be able to work for me full time. But anyway, slowly but surely it's growing and it's gaining traction. And man, I work my tail off from daylight to dark. I really enjoy what I do. I'm gonna take advantage of this opportunity, and I've got some very loyal customers, and I'm making new customers every day and new friends. And I appreciate it. I appreciate them trusting me to do it. Know that I'm gonna show up when I say I am. Unless it rains, and then we're gonna work that out. But I'm always gonna make it right, and I prosper. I don't price gouge. I make money at the end of the day, and I'm not below the market. As a matter of fact, I'm probably above the market. But really, they're getting a better quality because a lot of times, man, people just blow through it for the money. You know what I mean? And they don't care unless they get the contract. And I see that all the time. I was in Beaviston, the neighborhood I was in, and I ride by, and these guys are doing like 3 yards side by side up from a few of mine, and blowing the grass out in the middle of the road, man. And it really upset me because I try to make my yards look good. I try to make sure there's nothing in the yard next to them, the road. I try to make sure it's clean, so when I leave, they're like, "Yeah, that guy did good. He even blowed our stuff up." But anyway, I was like, I'm gonna watch them and see if they get it up. And they didn't. And I was like, well, I'm gonna go back and blow this up because number one, it's a hazard if a motorcycle hits it or something. It could hurt somebody. But it just looks tacky. And I think if you don't take pride in your work, I mean, really, what are you doing? Because you're not gonna. If you build it on rock, you're gonna have something. But if you just build it on a sloppy foundation, I'm gonna come along and get you jobs. What I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna go ahead and tell you, and I'm not gonna have to call them. They're gonna call me. I'd rather you straighten up and do the right thing, of course. But if not, I'll take the jobs. But man, I just want to jump on here and encourage everybody. If you're plugging away at it, keep on plugging away at it. If you're having to work a 9 to 5, do it, man. If I have to go work another 9 to 5, I will to get by. But I don't see that. I just can't live for today. I was telling my brother today, he's between jobs. Don't think about yesterday. Don't say, here's where I want to be. It's okay to have goals and to have plans. But if you're not in the moment, focused on the moment and the task at hand and where you want to be today, you're not going to be able to build out a 5 year plan. You're just not going to be able to do it because, like I said, it's a rock foundation. You really have to have a good foundation. But I've had people come out of the woodwork and support me, push me, give me jobs, just really encourage me, man. That's just, it's like every time it starts getting rough, something I happen, and I'll get lifted up a level. So I'm where I want to be this year. I'm actually where I wanted to be next year. So, I really think winter's going to be, it's going to be a challenge. It's a small town, but of course, it's going to work out. I know it's going to work out. I'm not even thinking about it. But anyway, I just wanted to jump on and say, if you've got a dream, go for it. And it might not be much to somebody. I'm in a 97 F-150 5.4. I'm paying on an enclosed trailer. I've got an open trailer. I have two hustlers, a 54-inch and a 48-inch walk behind. So I've got backups. I've got to push more. Plenty of weed eaters and blowers. And it's just, I don't know, man. I feel gratitude, I guess is what it is. But I feel gratitude, and I just wanted to jump on here and say that because I watch a lot of people and they've got it right. They've got it right. They just don't know it though. And I watch a lot of people get too focused on YouTube and their personality, and they start veering off this way and get away from it. So if somebody is watching them and trying to get help out of them, they're going to learn how to be a YouTuber. They're not going to learn too much about lawn and landscaping. But and I'm gonna throw a couple of names out. Go watch Gibson. I like Gibson. The Lawn and Life Show. Ray's Landscaping in Georgia is good. John at Florida Turf Pros is really good. He's down by where I was. He's in Pensacola, I think. And yeah, go check him out. If you will, please subscribe to my channel. Leave a comment. I'm also running for a award. Ace is giving out $25,000. You get to star in a commercial, and it's basically just a super dad thing. And that's really why I do all this is for my daughter. I want to be able to give her a life that I could only dream of giving her. You know what I mean? I want her to be able to step into her reality, which she has, and just blossom. And that's my life. That's my purpose. You know what I mean? And if I can help somebody else along the way, I'll do it. But go to Facebook or whatever, if you will, vote for me on that. It's on the 18th, I think. I'm not sure next month. But I'll update everybody. And I appreciate you watching the video. If you will, please subscribe, leave a comment. If you didn't enjoy it, that's fine. If you did, that's fine too. If you know somebody that might could use it. And listen, man, y'all look me up, 3-in-1 Lawn Care. Call me. I'm busy, but I can still get you in. I'm planning fall cleanups. I can do bed installs. Whatever you want done, just call me. We can do it. I promise you. And I'll give you a good rate on it. I'll be fair with you. And if anybody's in the industry around here that needs help or advice, I'm telling you, I've been doing it for 10 years straight. So I can help you out, and I'll be willing to help you out. You don't have to go to YouTube and look for help. I was talking to a young guy here the other day I bumped into at Tractor Supply. And it's good to talk to him. Unfortunately, I didn't make it. But maybe if I'd have talked to him sooner, he could have made it. Who knows? But I'm gonna keep my hands on the steering wheel and my foot on the gas. And I'll see y'all next time. I love y'all, and I appreciate